I was raised in and out of church. You know, I had a basic understanding of what I thought was truth. That being said, I did have a rough childhood, an abusive childhood, physically, mentally. And then at the age of 8, the doctors put me on antipsychotic medication for the treatment of involuntary facial tics. And so I didn't know sobriety from the age of 8, 9 years old up until I was 28, 29. I had no idea what sobriety was. And so through my teenage years, I started experimenting with pain pills, alcohol, marijuana. Through all that, I ended up meeting my wife when I was 19. And shortly thereafter, my dad died. And then a year later, my stepmother died. And then a year after that, my mother died. So it was a very, very rough few years.
I grew up with a father who was kind of traditional. We didn't go to church, but he listened to Alexander Scorby on the radio a lot. So he read his Bible. But my mother, she did not want to talk about religion at all. As I got older, where I was about 16, I got pregnant and I was given the option to either have an abortion by my mother, and my father wanted me to get married. So I went to the abortion clinic and I heard God say, "Thou shalt not kill." And I walked out of the abortion clinic. And after that, I went to my father's and ended up getting married at 16 years old to a 15-year-old. So we were married for about 9 years, and it wasn't a very good relationship. He was really hard into rock music, and he was a frontman for a band. So we stayed most of our times at the clubs, drinking and partying. And I learned a lot about taking drugs and drinking from the time I woke up till the time I went to bed. After I hit about 24, I didn't want to live that life anymore. And I tried to talk with him about that, and he started beating me. I ended up in the hospital. After I got out of the hospital, I decided I was going to leave him, and I was going to have my mother and my father help me exit out of that situation.
For years, I thought I had it under control. I was able to still work a job. I was still able to pay my bills and take care of everything. So it was just, it was my problem, but it was fine. I was dealing with it. But then it got to the point to where it was out of control completely. It didn't take long. By the grace of God, I'm sitting here alive and able to give this testimony about what He has done for me. My health deteriorated. My mental state deteriorated. I was wasting away. I was on the verge of losing what little I had left, which was my wife and kids. And so one night, I heard the voice of God. He spoke to me, and it was a very audible voice. And He said, "It's going to be all right." And it was so encouraging in that moment. And it took years after that before I was finally doing what I was supposed to be doing, or trying. But He was leading me all along the way. He never gave up on me.
Shortly around that time, I ran into my husband now, Jordan. I was actually at a bike rally, and he was serving alcohol, and I was 23, and I thought, well, if he's serving alcohol, he's got to be of age, right? I didn't realize he was 19. So that was kind of an interesting story, and he was kind of funny, and we were talking. I was like, "So where's your motorcycle?" And he was like, "Oh, come around back, I'll show it to you." Well, he said it's a Harley Davidson. It was a liquor cycle. He had a nice moped. So he was kind of funny and silly, and we got along really good. And he was really good with kids. I didn't realize that he had a really bad issue of pain pills, and I was coming off of some benzos and alcohol and trying to drown my pain away. Then we got bad up on heroin. My dad was ready to kick us out of my house. We weren't able to take care of ourselves or anybody else.
During that time, my wife had come across some of Walter Veith's videos. And she was learning about the Sabbath truth, and I was reluctant. I didn't want to accept it. I didn't want to even learn about it. But then she sent me one video, and she said, "Please watch this video." To honor my word, I watched the video, and I could not argue with the points that were made. And so we started studying together. Walter Veith went through the entire Total Onslaught series. One thing led to another. My wife said, "I want to get baptized." I was like, well, we'd have to go to a church for that, and so we had been to several churches over the years, but couldn't ever find one to call home. And I was reluctant to visit this local Seventh-day Adventist Church because I didn't want to be disappointed.
Jordan and Stephanie came through our church doors and met them for the first time. And I began to hear their story, which is where they had been listening to a number of videos by Adventists on YouTube. One of them was Walter Veith, and they had learned a number of things about the Adventist faith. So I got to meet them, and we began to talk, and they were sharing their story with us. And so as I did a review with them on everything, we set it up for their baptism in the month of August of that year.
I can't express how grateful I am. And one day I can't wait. I just can't wait to see Jesus. Out of everything that I've been through, there ain't enough time to tell you anything, but out of everything I know if it wasn't for God, I sure wouldn't be here. He has truly blessed me.
And so we baptized them, and we had to do a double dunk with Stephanie because it couldn't get her quite under there, and then I had to go back down to completely complete it. But we laugh about it today, but it was an awesome experience for sure. But they've been an awesome couple in our church. It got right involved, doing witnessing, sharing their faith with others. It's just been a tremendous blessing to see God working in their life. I know He's got great things in store for them.
We ended up coming to the Seventh-day Adventist Church and visiting. We ended up getting baptized shortly thereafter. We came in pretty much understanding the fundamental beliefs, but we still did some studying just to make sure that we were on the right path and ready. And our pastor sat down and went through everything with us. And we ended up getting baptized into the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And to see where I came from at my worst to where I'm at today, anyone who knew me will tell you that it is only God that could have done this in my life. I am a new creature in Christ, and it's only by His grace that I'm able to sit here and share this testimony with you.